We save all our vegetable and fruit scraps in a kitchen midden behind the garage, and it's really a magnet for all forms of crawling life, bacteria, bugs, worms, and they create a compost that's so rich and so nourishing for all our plants that my aunts on the Daly side used to call it black gold. Our grandchildren find it interesting. But ripe compost needs sifting before using, and one granddaughter cut her finger on the old sifter. I felt terrible and resolved to get a safe one. It needed to fit on our wheelbarrows, and it needed to be waterproof. I looked online, but they were either too small, too flimsy, or made with plastic. I found lots of instructions for making a homemade one. It made sense, so I sketched some plans, but most of the online examples used weak corner bracing. I needed a strong frame, and half-lap joints would shore it up. But how to cut half-laps with a circular saw? Wood Magazine offered a way to, quote, cut big-time joints with a small-time saw, end quote, using a homemade cutting guide. I followed their plans and made it. Here's how it worked. I bracketed down the cutting guide over the board just at the right spot, then step by step sawed through halfway through the board, and it left these stripes that look like this and were easy to kind of take down with a chisel bit by bit, and then you eventually get it cleaned off and pretty smooth, so that we ended up with the 4 boards ready to go, each of them with a half-lap joint. And then we could lay these out exactly as planned, a little bit of sanding, a little bit of adjustment, and everything worked. So with the boards fitted and the joints cut, we were all set to glue the 4 corners together. And that involved really applying smoothly glue to each side and then clamping it. You put wood in between, tight clamps, and then leaving it overnight, or about for 24 hours, and then putting the grid on, cutting it to size, getting it exactly right, and then stapling it with 1/2 inch waterproof staples all the way around. And it came out pretty well, seemed to fit. And now comes the covering, the sandwich cover, the boards that go over that edge that we had to screw in. And it just so happens we had the perfect brass screw for the job, about 1.5 inches, and a nifty little tool that combines both a drill pilot hole driver as well as a Phillips head screw attachment. And you can just pull back, release, and then pull up and lock, and it allowed us to make easy work of putting in all the screws around all the 4 boards throughout. So with that in place, all 4 boards look pretty good. Time to try it out. So we brought it outside, laid it over the wheelbarrow. It fit. That was the smallest wheelbarrow. We have a few. Put a compost shovel full and then tested how it worked. Notice I have no gloves. I probably should have gloves, but it should be pretty protected in terms of the grid. So it seems to work pretty well, leaving the detritus on the top, lifting it up. We have beautiful black gold underneath, and we are ready for the grandchildren, so to speak. Okay, that's good.